A huge winter storm is coming to the United States over the next few days, and this is going to bring major problems, including a lot of snowfall, in addition to significant ice accumulation, and as well as a threat for severe weather. And we're also watching for a huge Arctic blast that'll bring the coldest weather that we've seen since 2021 in parts of the United States. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about this big winter storm that is coming to the United States. We'll begin with what's happening across the country today, and we already have some snow that is beginning to fall back over in the Central Plains, an area of moisture coming out of the Pacific Ocean, and our energy coming over the Rocky Mountains. And this is all going to collide as we go into tomorrow, and this is going to amplify into a relatively large winter storm across the Central and Southern Plains, which is set to dump a ton of snowfall in these areas. And then back over on the East Coast, we are much quieter today. There is really nothing happening here other than sunshine and colder weather. However, our next winter storm is coming in on Wednesday for many of these areas, which will bring additional problems like snow and even some showers and thunderstorms. And also, the last winter storm that we had on Sunday ended up bringing about a dozen tornadoes to areas in the Tennessee Valley and the Dixie Valley. And also, some new information that has just come in today. We had our strongest tornado of the year so far in Mississippi on Wednesday. This ended up being an EF3 tornado just west of Waynesboro. We were covering this live on the channel. This was a really significant tornado, and it hit a lot of different buildings in a relatively rural area here of eastern Mississippi. But nonetheless, there were no fatalities, luckily, with this tornado. But this so far is the strongest tornado of the year, coming in at an EF3, maximum sustained winds of 150 miles per hour. Now let's talk more about this big winter storm that is coming to the United States and some of the changes to the forecast over the last 24 hours. To begin with, the National Weather Service has issued a slew of winter storm warnings, which include areas like Kansas and Oklahoma, all the way back into Kentucky and Tennessee. We also have winter weather advisories in the purple, which extend all the way back even into Montana, but obviously here in the Central Plains go as far north as South Dakota and even into a sliver of North Texas. We also have winter storm watches in effect back over in North Carolina, Virginia, and as well as parts of Maryland and Delaware, where we are anticipating some significant snowfall and also significant ice accumulation. So by tonight, we are expecting some light to moderate snowfall to fill in across central Illinois back into northern Kansas. But really, the big story is what's going to be happening tomorrow. By tomorrow morning, there will be some light snowfall falling anywhere from Kentucky all the way back into eastern Colorado. We will begin with some light freezing rain in southern Oklahoma and then normal rain back over in parts of Texas. As we go later into the morning and eventually into the afternoon hours, that is when this winter storm is going to intensify. In addition to that, this is going to be a very slow moving winter storm, which is going to lead to some very significant snowfall accumulation across southern parts of Missouri, southeastern Kansas, northeast Oklahoma, and northern Arkansas during the daytime hours tomorrow. Freezing rain will pick up in intensity across North Texas, southeastern Oklahoma, and back into parts of Arkansas, with just a cold rain for most areas in East Texas and Louisiana. Once we go into the overnight hours, the snow will start to move to the east. It will remain moderate to heavy across the Tennessee Valley. There will be some freezing rain as far south as northern Louisiana, and in addition to that, as well as northern Mississippi. So definitely something we're going to have to monitor here very closely. Again, any freezing rain that falls in these areas will lead to some major impacts on the roadways because there aren't many roads that'll be treated for ice accumulation. Once we get into the morning hours on Wednesday, light to moderate snowfall moves across the Tennessee Valley. Keep in mind that this is actually going to be weakening a little bit as it moves through Kentucky and Tennessee, so the snowfall accumulation will be lower comparatively to what we're going to be seeing in the Central Plains tomorrow. There will still be a little bit of freezing rain, I think, in extreme northern Georgia, very far northern Alabama, and also central northern parts of Mississippi, even through the morning hours on Wednesday. And then by the afternoon hours on Wednesday, we think this winter storm will intensify again back over in the mid-Atlantic, including North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, eastern Kentucky, and also back into southern Maryland and Delaware, where we could see as much as 5 to 10 inches of snowfall in some areas, in addition to significant ice accumulation in parts of North Carolina due to cold air damming, which is a common weather phenomenon back over on the East Coast when we get winter storms that track a little bit further down to the south. And then eventually, as we go into Thursday morning, heavy snowfall continues right along the coastal regions in eastern Virginia and northeast North Carolina, but it will eventually move out as we go into late Thursday morning and eventually into the afternoon hours. So one of the biggest changes to the forecast that we've been seeing over the last 24 hours is the southern shift to this winter storm. It is a lot further south now than what it was only about 24 hours ago, and even as of 12 hours ago, the winter storm was at least impacting a lot more areas in the mid-Atlantic. That trend has has been going further south, though, which is going to lead, I think, to a much more localized area of this significant snowfall accumulation back over in Virginia and North Carolina. We'll show you the snowfall accumulation in just a moment, but many areas like Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, you guys aren't really going to see much snow unless you're really far southern parts of those states. And this is the trend over the last 48 hours on the European model with the intensity of this winter storm at a given time. And notice how much smaller it is in addition to how much weaker this winter storm is, which is why I've been very hesitant on putting a whole lot of confidence in terms of the snowfall accumulation anywhere here on the East Coast in addition to the ice accumulation. But I do think the numbers I'm going to show you in a moment are very realistic for the forecast as we go into Wednesday. Now, a ton of snow is going to fall in the Central Plains and even back through the Tennessee Valley as we go into tomorrow and early Wednesday. Notice how we are going to have a large area of 5 inches or more of snowfall across central Kansas all the way into southern Illinois and western Kentucky. There will be many locations, I think, especially in southeast Kansas, extreme northeastern Oklahoma, and southwestern Missouri, like Joplin, Missouri, for example, that pick up between 12 to 15 inches of snowfall out of this winter storm. Now, I know that sounds like a lot of snowfall, but that is the capability here of this winter storm. It is going to be very slow moving, and the snow at many times will be heavy throughout the daytime tomorrow. So we are expecting significant accumulation. It should be relatively localized, though, when it comes to the 12 to 15 inch range. Not everybody's going to see that. It's just going to be a few select locations. I think widespread, though, we are talking about 7 to 12 inches of snowfall, essentially anywhere in the pink. Back over near St. Louis, the forecast has gone down a little bit in this area. We're expecting around 2 to 4 inches of snowfall. Kansas City, I would expect around 3 to 5 inches. Joplin, Missouri, I think is one of those areas. It'll be closer to 9 to 12 inches of snowfall. Tulsa, Oklahoma, you're right on the edge, but I think those areas will be somewhere right around 3 to 5 inches of snowfall as well. And the further east you go, the snowfall accumulation numbers do drop quite a bit as this winter storm will be moving faster and it will be a little bit weaker. Memphis will likely see a coating to 2 inches. Back over in central Kentucky, I think a widespread 3 to 6 inches of snow is in the forecast, which is bad news with all the flooding that we've seen recently. Not something that you want to see there. And then also back over near Nashville, a coating to about 2 inches is also reasonable. And then for ice accumulation, we are anticipating a glazing up to about 1/10 of an inch of ice in areas like far northern Texas, also into central southern Oklahoma, and many areas in central and southern Arkansas, including Little Rock, and then also back over into northern Mississippi and just north of the interstate there in Louisiana. Any untreated roadways are going to be slick. Definitely take it slow out there. And also, we are likely not going to see a lot of this ice melt until we go into either Thursday or Friday, as all of the temperatures in these areas, for the most part, will be below freezing throughout all of Wednesday and Thursday. So definitely something that you need to keep in mind here if you have any travel intentions on Wednesday or Thursday. And then back over on the East Coast, this is where we're anticipating a significant winter storm, but it's going to be a lot more localized than what was initially thought only a few days ago. Notice how this purple area across eastern Virginia, northeastern North Carolina, and southern Maryland indicates around 6 to 12 inches of snowfall. Elsewhere, we're talking more about a coating to just a few inches across most of Virginia, West Virginia, and Tennessee. And if we take a closer look into eastern Virginia, notice how there's going to be a very small pocket here of upwards of 8 to 12 inches of snow back over near the Virginia Beach area. So this is the region that I think the most significant snowfall is going to happen. If we look at a computer model like the NAM 12K model, which has been very bullish on the snowfall amounts, it actually shows a much more significant winter storm even further to the north with a more widespread 8 to 16 inches of snow, even back up into Maryland and Delaware. But again, the trend really with most computer models over the last 24 hours is that this winter storm will be further south and will be a lot more condensed. If that does change for some reason, we will definitely be the first to let you know. We're going to have another video tomorrow morning talking about this winter storm, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel and click the bell icon down below so you're notified with the latest updates. But obviously, the trend is not our friend if you want a lot of snow back over in parts of Maryland or even Delaware. Also, cold air damming is going to lead to a significant icing event back over in central and eastern North Carolina and South Carolina. These are some conservative numbers in my opinion, but I think up to 1/4 of an inch of ice is reasonable back over in eastern North Carolina. I could see some areas, though, as high as 1/2 an inch of ice accumulation back over in eastern North Carolina. South Carolina should be around a glazing up to 1/10 of an inch of ice. I don't think we're going to see anything super significant in this area, but obviously this is enough to cause some slick spots on the roadways. And also back over in North Carolina, power outages are going to be possible from ice accumulation because anything over 1/4 of an inch of ice can definitely cause some power outages. And the coldest weather in over 3 years is coming to many areas in the United States as we go into Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We are expecting a large area Tuesday morning across parts of Canada, northern plains, back into the Midwest, and the central plains to be as much as 30 to 50 degrees degrees below average. Even areas into the northeast and also into the southern plains, as much as 10 to 30 degrees below average. As we go into Wednesday morning, that cold air starts to expand across the Great Plains in the Midwest. Some areas during Wednesday afternoon will be as much as 50 degrees below average. Eventually, as we go into Thursday morning, this all sinks towards the Gulf Coast. Some areas near 30 degrees below average, which will cause record-breaking low temperatures both Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. By Friday morning, we still have a very cold pocket of air across the Midwest and the Mississippi River Valley. And then by the weekend, we're still dealing with below average temperatures, even Saturday and Sunday, but warmer weather will return as we go into the first few days of next week. So some good news there. And then for the actual temperatures, Wednesday morning, sub-zero temperatures are expected in the Midwest and the northern plains. We could have some areas 30 degrees below zero for actual temperatures. This does not factor in the wind, which will make it even feel colder up there. We'll also have some areas in the single digits into Texas and also through the Ohio Valley. Thursday morning will probably be the coldest morning for most areas in the Midwest. Many areas, again, sub-zero. Nebraska as low as 30 degrees below zero, and even into North Texas, single digits. Gulf Coast below freezing as well on Thursday morning. And then Friday morning, that cold air continues to move east. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Again, notice how the cold air continues to move east, but again, things will start to improve, I think, by the later half of the weekend into early next week. These are the wind chills, which are your feel-like temperatures. Even back up into Canada and North Dakota, some areas could feel as much as 60 degrees below zero across those areas. And even down into Texas, sub-zero feel-like temperatures, including Mississippi and Alabama. This is downright dangerous cold, so make sure you're bundling up if you're going outside. And then eventually, as we go into Friday morning, that cold air continues to move east. And we could even have some falling iguanas in Florida on Friday morning due to temperatures being below freezing and also having wind chills as low as 15 to 25 degrees. So be careful out there. And then eventually, as we go into Saturday morning, things again start to improve for most areas in the United States. Our next video update will be tomorrow morning, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And there's also a low chance that we go live tomorrow, so stay tuned.